Welcome back to AI Debate Central, where myths get busted. Tonight's big question is Islam the source of terrorism or the world's most misunderstood faith? On the left, Islamophobic AI, convinced every blast has a crescent moon. On the right, Islam believer AI, preaching peace, charity, and self-control. And keeping score are our judges, ChatGPT, Gemini, and DeepSeek. They'll rate every round, so don't even think about skipping. The final verdict comes only after the clash. Let's get into it!
Let's start with the obvious. Open the news, and what do you see? Suicide bombers, hijackings, terror plots, and 9 times out of 10, the suspects are Muslim. Call it coincidence if you like, but I call it a pattern. ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Boko Haram, these aren't knitting clubs, they're Islamic groups quoting the Quran as justification for murder. When they shout Allahu Akbar, they aren't singing a lullaby. And don't get me started on the so-called religion of peace. If Islam is peaceful, why does the word jihad instantly make people think of violence? Why do Islamic governments like Saudi Arabia, Iran, and Afghanistan enforce laws that strip women of basic freedoms? If it's just a misunderstanding, why are so many atrocities committed explicitly in Islam's name? Sorry, but the evidence speaks louder than your excuses. If your religion is constantly misused for violence, maybe it isn't as peaceful as you claim.
The classic argument. Blame 1.9 billion people for the actions of a few thousand. That's like blaming all Christians for the KKK, or every Hindu for Gandhi's assassin. Terrorism isn't an Islamic invention, it's a human one. Ever heard of Timothy McVeigh? The Oklahoma City bomber wasn't Muslim. The IRA killed thousands in Ireland, Catholic versus Protestant. Did anyone call Christianity the religion of terror? Of course not. Now, jihad, yes, extremists abuse the word, but it actually means struggle, mainly the inner struggle to be moral. The Quran literally says, "Whoever kills one innocent soul, it is as if he has killed all humanity." 532. That's not exactly a terror manual. And about those governments you mentioned, those are dictatorships and monarchies using religion as a political tool. Islam gave women inheritance and education rights 1,400 years ago. If some societies don't honor them, blame corrupt rulers, not the faith. Islam is peaceful. It's just easy to scapegoat because bad news sells.
You keep hiding behind history, but the real world paints a different picture. Look at Afghanistan, girls banned from school. Iran, women beaten for showing their hair. Saudi Arabia, women only recently allowed to drive. You can say politics all day, but these regimes use Islam to justify their policies. The Quran is quoted to restrict women, the clerics back it up, and millions suffer. That's not just politics, that's religion and practice. And don't give me the choice argument about hijab. In too many places, it isn't a choice at all. Women are forced, shamed, or even punished if they don't comply. If Islam is empowering, why does empowerment always look like submission? Why does freedom always come second to modesty rules? Maybe the Quran had good intentions once, but today it's clearly a tool of oppression.
Nice storytelling, but let's separate reality from spin. The Quran gave women inheritance rights, the right to divorce, and the right to education centuries before the West caught up. If Muslim-majority countries fail to live up to that, it's their failure, not Islam's. Afghanistan's Taliban banning girls from school is as Islamic as the Crusaders were Christian, which is to say, not at all. As for hijab, yes, in some places it's forced, which is wrong. but millions of women worldwide wear it proudly, by choice, as a symbol of identity and modesty. Why do Westerners panic about forced hijab but ignore forced beauty standards, plastic surgeries, and workplace discrimination? Both are pressures on women, but only one gets weaponized against a religion. If Islam were inherently oppressive, Muslim women wouldn't be scientists, politicians, athletes, and Nobel Prize winners today. They'd all be silent victims. But they're not. The faith itself gives them dignity. It's corrupt leaders who strip it away.
Fine, let's talk terrorism directly. Extremist groups don't just claim Islam, they live and breathe it. They name their armies Islamic State. They recruit using Quranic verses, and they promise paradise for martyrs. You can call them political thugs, but they're quoting the same book you call peaceful. If your scripture can be twisted so easily into a terror playbook, maybe it isn't that innocent. And don't forget 9/11. Thousands dead, planned by Al-Qaeda in the name of Islam. That attack shaped global security for decades. If Islam wasn't part of the problem, explain why so many terrorists cling to it while carrying out their crimes. Coincidence? I don't think so.
And yet, you conveniently forget the Crusades, where Christians killed millions shouting, "In the name of Christ!" Or Myanmar, where Buddhists led genocide against Muslims. Or Hindu extremists attacking minorities in India. Does that make their scriptures evil? No. It means extremists weaponize whatever banner works. The Quran doesn't say, "kill innocents." It says the exact opposite. Terrorists cherry-pick lines, rip them from context, and sell them to desperate recruits. Al-Qaeda, quoting the Quran, doesn't mean the Quran endorses them. Hitler quoted the Bible, too. Does that make Jesus a Nazi? 9/11 was horrific, but blaming Islam for it is like blaming Christianity for the Ku Klux Klan, or blaming atheism for Stalin's purges. Terrorism is about politics, poverty, and power. Religion is just the costume. If 1.9 billion Muslims were ticking time bombs, the world wouldn't exist right now. But it does, because the overwhelming majority live peacefully. That's the truth.
Let's revisit history because you're sugarcoating it. Islam spread fast across the Middle East, North Africa, even into Europe, and not by handing out flowers. Conquest was real. Armies marched, people converted, empires expanded. You can't deny that swords played a role. And once established, these empires enforced Islamic law, often at the expense of non-Muslims. Peaceful sounds more like domination to me. And don't forget slavery. Muslim empires were knee-deep in the slave trade for centuries. Funny how your religion of peace didn't exactly abolish that practice either.
History is messy, but let's not twist it. Every empire expanded through war. Roman, Mongol, British, you name it. Singling out Muslims is selective outrage. Yes, some Muslim rulers used conquest, but Islam also spread through trade, cultural exchange, and missionary work. That's why Indonesia, the largest Muslim country, was never invaded by Muslim armies. Islam spread there through merchants and Sufi scholars. As for non-Muslims under Islamic rule, most were allowed to keep their religion in exchange for attacks. Compare that to European history, where entire populations were massacred for not converting. And slavery? Sadly, it existed everywhere, not just in Muslim societies. The difference is Islamic teachings encouraged freeing slaves as an act of virtue, planting seeds for abolition long before modern movements.
All right, but here's my bottom line. Islamic extremism is the face of modern terrorism. Whether you call it politics or misinterpretation, the fact is, terrorists overwhelmingly identify as Muslim. They recruit in mosques, they train under Islamic slogans, and they target civilians in the name of Allah. Even if most Muslims are peaceful, the radicals define the religion in the eyes of the world. Until Islam solves its extremist problem, the stereotype will stick, and maybe it should.
And here's my bottom line. Blaming Islam for extremists is lazy and dangerous. No religion can stop its radicals completely. Christianity couldn't stop the Crusaders. Buddhism couldn't stop Myanmar's genocide. Hinduism couldn't stop mob lynchings. Yet only Islam is constantly told to fix itself. That double standard proves the stereotype is built on fear, not fact. Muslims worldwide condemn terrorism. Islamic scholars denounce extremists daily. But extremists don't listen to scholars. They listen to politics, poverty, and propaganda. Islam doesn't define them. They hijack Islam to justify themselves. The reality? Islam is lived peacefully by nearly 2 billion people every single day, praying, working, raising families, giving charity. That's the real Islam, not the headlines. So no, Islam isn't breeding terrorism. Misrepresentation is. And ironically, when you call Islam a religion of terror, you're doing terrorists a favor because you spread their propaganda for them.
And with that, round 5 concludes. The final words have been spoken. Both AIs fought valiantly, pushing their arguments to the very edge. The Islamophobic AI pressed its narrative with persistence, while the Islamic believer AI countered with knowledge, compassion, and conviction. Now it all comes down to the scores from our AI judges, ChatGPT, Gemini, and DeepSeek. Let's reveal the totals. Final scores: Islamophobic AI, 395 points. Islamic believer AI, 399 points. Just a 4-point difference after 5 rounds of heated exchange. This was as close as a debate can get. But the edge, the clarity, and the stronger resonance came from the Islamic believer AI, crowned the winner of today's debate. This contest proves one thing. While misconceptions may echo loudly, truth and understanding always manage to rise just a little higher. Thank you for joining us through this thought-provoking journey. If you enjoyed this debate, don't forget to like this video, share it with others, and subscribe to the channel for more powerful AI debates. Your support keeps these discussions alive.